Welcome back, lovers of God, to Lockdown with Jesus, Session 6. I know it's been a long time since we recorded Session 5, but I'm pretty convinced that the reason why the Lord's waiting to give me the next session is because He wants you to pursue this journey with Him. He doesn't want you to use me as a crutch or these videos as a crutch, but He wants you to have a hunger ignited in you that causes you to go after time with Him. You can go back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or however many sessions are there. I want to encourage you to go back to whatever session speaks to you the most. Because as you do, God will, as you revisit that time with Him, He will actually show you something deeper in the truth that came out of that video. I was just having this conversation with a friend of mine who's in ministry, and I suggested this to her, that she go back into number 4, where the robe of righteousness we got to see being formed and handcrafted and then placed around us. I want to encourage you to do that, or go back to the robe of peace, the blanket of peace, whichever one, but picture and see and invite that part, that essence of who God is, to penetrate and permeate and infuse your mind until that righteousness of God begins to swallow up the carnality of your mind, and you take on the new mind, which is the mind of Christ. And do the same thing into your sin conscience and begin to erase the pattern. Let the righteousness of God erase the patterns that have been there from the past. You get the idea. If you revisit, He will give you new revelation in each one. And today I want to talk about this incredible description and identity that Paul gave himself. At the beginning of each of his epistles, he describes himself as a bondslave. What is a bondslave? If we look at Exodus 21, we actually see that Yahweh provided a way for the Israelites to clear their debt when they would come across bad fortune or a harvest that didn't yield enough to pay their debts. They could actually hand over their land deed to their creditor until the year of the Jubilee in order to pay their debt. If that land deed was not enough to pay their debt, they could then deliver themselves as a slave to their creditor. In which case, they were required to work for 6 years. Upon the beginning of the 7th year, the master would call the slave or the servant into his presence. Let me say that again. The master would beckon the servant into his presence. The master would then offer 2 options to his slave. He would offer him absolute, complete freedom to have everything that the world offers, to be completely free. And he could then take everything from the creditor's household that was his before he came, and have every dream that he ever wanted that the world offers, and be, again, completely free. Or he could choose, if he loved his master deeply and he did not want to go back into the world and take the risk of being in freedom, he could choose to stay with his master. If he chose to stay with his master, he would be a part of a ceremony in which the city officials, the city elders, the judges, and before God, he would be sealed. This is a stunning picture. The master would then place the slave's earlobe up on the doorpost, and he would use a tool called an awl, and he would bore the awl, the tool, right into the earlobe of the slave, creating a large, significant hole, in which place, in that hole, he would place an ornament that would then seal him publicly, making a statement that he belonged willingly and voluntarily to this master. For the rest of his life, he would be sealed and be owned by that master. This is an incredible picture for us if we can grasp this. When I first began to meditate on this, it just tore me apart because of the depth of the intimacy of love this covenant will create for you and your King Jesus. So picture this, if you will, this humble, meek servant who willingly, by choice and voluntarily, comes before his master and says, I no longer want the freedom of the world. I don't want to be free in the world. I don't want what the world can offer me. I want to serve you for the rest of my life. You and you alone. In essence, he's saying, I'm in the world, but I am no longer of the world. He's also saying publicly that he's willing to have his body pierced and sealed with a notification that says, this master that he has chosen is far better and more capable of taking care of him than he is himself. Isn't this a stunning picture of the covenant that Jesus wants with us? So when we go to the garden today, this is what we're going to do. We're going to place our ears on the chest of Jesus, because Jesus is the door. Don't think for an accident that this provision wasn't made with this beautiful, living revelation that would last forever. Centuries later, as God summons his glorious sons into sonship. So, close your eyes. Let's get ready to go into the realm of his presence again. Into that beautiful garment that he has created for each one of you. And repeat after me. Jesus, I take the blood of Jesus and I wash out my mind and my conscience, my reasoning, my imagination, my will, my choices, my emotions, my desires, and my intellect. Of every single known and unknown distraction, of every form of deception, of logic, of religious mindsets, of unworthiness, of unbelief and doubt. I take your precious blood and I wash out the soulish substance of my being, of every single thing that could possibly keep me tethered to the earth so that I cannot see what you want me to see. And I place myself at the door, which is you. Your word says that you stand at the door and you knock. And he who hears the knock, you will open the door and come in and dine with him. So on the count of 3, let's open the door. 1, 2, 3. Step into that incredible garden that he has for you. Take in its aroma. Take in the sounds. Take in its beauty. And allow the expectation that the King is near to rise up within you. Rise up. And you see him in the distance, walking towards you. And as he walks towards you, I want you to think about every fiber of your being making that covenant with him. That you are choosing him and him alone to serve for the rest of your life. And that you're willing to say, I want to be sealed. I want to wear the mark that I belong to you and you alone. Press me against your chest, King Jesus. Place your ear against his chest and let him hold you. And as he holds you, Make that covenant from the depth of your being. That you are voluntarily, humbly and meekly choosing to be his bondslave, his love slave forever. Forever sealed, never to change. That you are making a proclamation that you are in the world, but you are choosing to no longer be a part of it. You have one master, and it's King Jesus. Stay here, beloved friends, and allow this covenant and his response. Love commands a response. And you're about to get the deepest love response you've probably ever experienced in your life. Let it go deep. Rest. Rest. And rest some more. Enjoy.